Unfiltered is we want this to be the truth. Like we want us to have those conversations where anything can be spoken about on how to grow within our Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. Like how does this church teach it in an unfiltered way? And I really am so excited for this. And
This reminded me of the trend. We listen and we don't judge.
oh, you want to do the trend right now? We're good? We're ready? I love it. Welcome to Unfiltered Faith, presented by OTYD, where we have real conversations rooted in faith. And I'd love to say we are back. And I have my brothers here, Robel and my brother Sami.
What's going on, guys?
I know we had an OTYD podcast before, and my brother here, Robel, was a pioneer in that. But now we're kind of peeling it back and rebranding OTYD podcast and saying Unfiltered Faith. The main reason why we wanted to say Unfiltered Faith was because, just like the name, we gonna have unfiltered conversations.
We're gonna have some tea. Everybody gonna be, everything gonna be out there.
Piping hot.
Very much.
Get your shots ready, get your naan.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Not that unfiltered, brother.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Just like the name Unfiltered Faith, we wanted to create a space where we can have genuine conversations where we don't have to be secluded in an area to have those really tough conversations that we have within our Orthodox Tewahedo faith. I know we have a lot of concerning topics that we're going to touch upon that I'm really excited to just be unfiltered in, because I feel like it's one thing to have conversations in private and talk about the things that you're really stressed about, that you want to really talk about and have information out there. But I feel like this is going to be the source of truth where people can come in and listen to conversations about faith and how to enrich your spiritual life and how to grow your spiritual life the Orthodox way, the right way. It being unfiltered. So the conversations are just going to be flowing. All right? So even this one is going to be like
ready,
unfiltered. Man. And I hope you guys are prepared to kind of discuss on like why kind of genuine conversations like this, like having conversations that are unfiltered, why it is important for our faith. Because in our generation, most of the things that we see on TikTok or Instagram, those are the things that we consume, like our age and our society. It's really, really bad stuff that we are consuming, right? And we don't have the Orthodox way of pushing out things and issues that can be addressed in an unfiltered way. And I feel like this is going to be it, all right? So we're going to answer this question, which I really want us to answer genuinely. Why is having genuine conversations that are unfiltered important for our spiritual life?
Go ahead, Sami. Hit them with that wisdom. Okay. Me personally, I think I just love that if there's platforms available, especially like TikTok, Instagram. I mean, nowadays everybody has podcasts. Everybody's doing, going out and putting their own personal like.
Even us.
Yeah,
Even
but
us
we
now.
hopping on there. We're hopping on there. But ours is gonna be different because unfiltered, But I really do think, and from our church's perspective, like there needs to be conversations, especially those that are like hush hush kind of topics that we, try to shy away, or any of those like conversations where it's like the youth have so many questions, especially like controversial topics, whether it may be about like church specifically or even outside of that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the things that we discuss within our community in general, like the circles, like, cause I always say whenever we're sitting around after Bible study having conversations, I'm like, man, someone like needs to put a camera out there, bro.
100%.
Like we be having fire conversations, right? And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like we need to actually like, have other people really tune into this, because I feel like people can relate to it. More than anything, it's about being relatable. And I think this podcast is one of those ways where we can be, again, unfiltered and we able to just relax, unscripted, just have a conversation, you know what I mean? And I love it that it's, I'm joining with my brothers here today, Sami, Ananya. Sami's hilarious. Ananya got them jokes too. So it's going to be really cool just to see, what kind of conversations we come up with and just generally be able to just chill and hang out.
Yeah, I love it. You, Robel, you started OTYD podcast about maybe a year or a year and a half ago. And you guys set out a goal to have a podcast where you can have like discussions like this. Like we said, we kind of are rebranding it now and calling it Unfiltered Faith, and just changing the way we are having conversations, right? Ephesians 4:15, like speak truth in love. Like this is like conversations because we're brothers. Like I've known Robo since I was like probably 9 years old.
Yeah.
Same with Sami. I've known you guys for a long time, and we have these conversations, but we're like talking about these conversations, whether it be really controversial topics, in a private space. So now it's like this rebranding is like changing that way. It's like, no, we ain't gonna have it in private no more. Like we're gonna actually put it out there because it's not only us that feel this way.
Yeah.
Everyone's thinking the same thing, you know? Everyone is having the same thoughts. Everyone's having the same conversations, or they want to say it. They're just afraid of what people may think if they bring up those topics, you know?
100%. Like, and we want to be able to create that space where people can relate to the topics that we're discussing. Like, they can listen in and be like, oh my God, I relate with that. Like, I'm so glad for the Unfiltered Faith presented by OTYD, which I really love. And like the authentic conversations that we have in private, now it's being put out into public. It's really important for our spiritual growth. I know that like I've helped other people and people have helped me by small conversations, by small discussions. And discussions are important, right? We do it all the time at OTYD. We just did one like yesterday at Friday, right?
Yeah.
We always do discussions because they're important. But these discussions need to be put out there and be put out on platforms so other people can hear it too. Because it's not only us that can benefit from this, but people that are not even of the faith, right? Like we never think about that within our Orthodox church. Like, why can't we bring in other people from different denominations or people that are atheists and that don't have a relationship with Christ, right?
Exactly.
So that is our ultimate goal, is like have conversations where people are gonna have controversial topics that they want to discuss. We're gonna talk about them here. We're gonna unscript everything and just like talk about them fully, unfiltered, which
Yes,
I'm
sir.
really excited about. I want to talk about the journey of kind of OTYD and how it has grew and how we got to the point where we're talking about having a podcast that's unfiltered. Robo, like I told you, you have been within OTYD for like what?
The CEO, man. I've been at
Damn.
this company.
Okay.
I've been at this company for the past 5 years. So, you know, I have my stocks investments already in here. So Lazine, I look them.
And you have seen like OTYD grow. You're a CEO, like you just said. You have seen OTYD grow and like have become a place where people can come, youth like us or people that are coming back into the church to work on their spiritual life. And we want to be able to create that space where people have these conversations. So can you talk a little bit about that journey that you've had, like from OTYD like 5-6 years ago and now where it is, and like how we can move forward with this podcast that we have?
Yeah, man. When you said 5-6 years, I'm like, my goodness, let's start at wow. It's been it's been actually a very long time. You know, when we started OTYD, I always tell this. We had a guest that came from Houston literally yesterday from Bible study. He drove all the way from Houston, which is like
I seen
it was
that.
awesome. Yeah, and I was kind of when I was having that conversation with him, I was kind of having flashbacks of our old OTYD like days where it was just literally we started off as 8 individuals, all from different churches, coming together in one goal, which is like to just spread the love of God to the Orthodox youth that are within our church and outside of the church, right? So when we started that was our whole goal. It was we want to bring the church to the youth. Oftentimes it's like we were trying to bring the youth to the church, but in this generation, honestly, it's you got to bring Christ to the youth. You get what I'm saying? You got to bring God. You got to bring the gospel. You got to bring the faith to the youth, because that's what God did for us. Christ came down to us, and it's not us that went up to him.
Yep.
So we try to resemble that in genuine service within OTYD. So yeah, man, we've been, with the grace of God, growing from like I said, 10 people to around regularly 100 people that come to our Bible studies. A shout out to all of the OTYD servants and members that have all make this happen, including Sami and Anya, our brothers in Christ, and in the back behind the camera we have Abraham,
we got Reddy, we got Hermela.
all of them. They were a family, man. If it wasn't just one person, everybody kind of chipped in their own things in order to make this work. And with the grace of God, yeah, man, we've been growing. And to be able to see OTYD get to this point where we're able to put our content on platforms like this, where we're able to just really have authentic conversations, because so many people, like I said, are just they give out persona of like kind of being fake. You know what I mean? Like they pretend to have the perfect life. They pretend to put a filter on that's like I'm amazing. My walk with God is like perfect and everything. When in reality, like we're all struggling. So I think this podcast can be a way, like you said, to just kind of unveil the curtain into the real reality of what does it look like to be a normal Ethiopian Orthodox Christian following God in the 21st century and the challenges that come with that. So I'm really excited. I'm happy that you guys came in and, you know, rebranded it with the title, you know, Unfiltered, because that's really what I want to hear. Conversations that are unfiltered, conversations that are unscripted, and just genuine vibes, bro. For real.
Vibes, bro. Yeah, I love it. I think me and Sami, BFF right here.
Bro.
We always have the conversation. Like, we go fishing sometimes. We still haven't caught a fish, have we, bro?
No, one fish.
No.
My dad was joking the other day. My dad was making a joke. Who's the guy who you go fishing with, like all the time? Do y'all store the fish in a deep freezer or something? I haven't seen a single one yet. And yeah, we don't have a deep freezer. We don't have a single fish. It's just straight vibes.
Yeah.
The sunset, really. We take a picture of the sunset. We take a picture of us with the fishing rods. We have yet to take a picture with an actual fish. One day.
100%. Why I mentioned like us fishing is because we fish. We haven't caught a fish. But the conversations in those authentic, genuine, faith-based conversations we have are so enriching. Like, honestly, we go like 3 p.m. and then we're there until like the sunset is literally like gone. Like, we talk for hours on hours about faith and like things that we would love to discuss in an open setting, in a public setting, but we don't have the platform to do so. And I'm really glad that Sami is here because me and him like have those authentic conversations in secret, right? Like about our own spiritual lives. And I wanted to ask you, Sami, like how has conversations like those, like discussions that you've had in private with people, how have that helped you in your own spiritual life? Like having those discussions in private, like how has that been able to enrich your spiritual life?
I'm really glad you asked me that. Actually, going back to the first time or second time we went fishing, we were having like a really candid conversation. And honestly, to be honest with y'all, I think we haven't caught a fish because we keep scaring them away with our voice. We're just talking. And I think you're not supposed to talk. You're just supposed to... Really, fishing is a patience game. That's another thing that I really recommend y'all to just go out there and try fishing just because it teaches you a lot of things. But back to the main question, we were having a really candid conversation. And usually I don't really open up to a lot of people. I don't have these conversations with anyone else. So when me and Ananya started talking, it was like, oh, wow, I can totally relate to this. Like, I didn't know other people were feeling this way as well. I didn't know, oh, there's other people just like me. He's also a servant as I am. He's a deacon as I am. And I'm like, wow, so I'm not the only one going through these challenges or struggles as well. I have another brother. I can ask advice. How did you get through these things? Or what did you do to make it easier? And it's just these conversations that we have that end up leading to spiritual growth. I remember I had a very dry season in my spiritual life at one point. As a servant, you end up forgetting about your own life and just focusing on serving other people. When in reality, you can't really help other people if you don't help yourself.
Ooh, bars right there. I love it.
You can't. You really can't. If you are spiritually dry, or if you have no spiritual life, no spiritual foundation, then how are you going to help somebody up? How are you going to be a pillar for somebody to get back up on their feet if you yourself are not on your feet? The conversations that we had during these spiritual dry seasons, it motivated me. It made me think, okay, I'm not the only one going through these things. And the solutions that he was giving me, the things that we were talking about, the solutions that we were talking about, really together push both of us to make strides in our spiritual journey, you know, whether it be, you know, through more prayer and fasting, talking to your spiritual father more often, going to confession, these kind of things, these discussions that we have. It's very easy to teach about it. It's very easy to go up to a person and tell them, oh, you know, I just confess. I recommend you confess. Like, at least at the very least once a month. If you go once a week, even better. I mean, it's very easy to advise other people, but it's hard to apply that those same advices to yourself. So when you have somebody close to you, another brother, another servant, somebody who is serving in your in likeness to you, having the same struggles, also having sharing ideas with you, it really helps you. And that's why I really think this podcast or today's episode is so important, or really the entire podcast in general. These unfiltered conversations, the same conversations we have while we're going fishing. We say, we are fishing. One lady, bro, I just remembered, one lady, the most random encounter. We didn't say nothing to her. Are y'all catching fish?
Oh, yeah.
Are y'all fishing? Are y'all catching fish?
No, we didn't really understand the
We
question.
didn't understand what she said, but are y'all catching fish? Or are the fish catching you? And we're like, wow, that's so like unwarranted. Like we didn't say nothing, bro. We were just, I think selfie you said in the boat. We were just taking a selfie, and she was just messing with it. But anyway, like these conversations that we had during our fishing trips, it would be so beneficial if we have those same conversations right here, like on this episode, in front of the camera, just so other people understand. Wow, these guys are normal people as well. They go through the same struggles that I'm going through, and maybe I can learn a few things from them as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's reciprocal. Like there's stuff that I struggle in. Like I ask him for advice, and like we just go back and forth, and we have those like genuine just conversations about how can we help each other grow our spiritual life, right? And we know that people are out there that may have the same struggles as us, and they may not have the outlet to speak to someone and be able to confide in their weaknesses and try to help them out of their struggles, right? And I really hope us having these conversations that are unfiltered helps those people also come into the conversation while they're listening. Maybe you're driving right now and listening to this, or maybe you're just at home. Wherever you may be, we want to be there with you having these discussions. Like we want you to know that there's an outlet for you to express how you feel. And hopefully like through our conversations that we have, that is the outlet. Like it's unfiltered. Like we don't want it to be that restricted. Like this whole private thing makes us not grow in our spiritual life. And it makes a lot of people, especially within our society and our youth in America here, is really hard because there's so many opinions and there's so many other thoughts that are coming into your head. There's no way to understand the truth. And the way we are setting this podcast up unfiltered is we want this to be the truth. Like we want us to have those conversations where anything can be spoken about on how to grow within our Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. Like how does this church teach it in an unfiltered way? And I really am so excited for this. And
this reminded me of the trend. We listen and we don't judge.
Oh, you want to do the trend right now?
We listen and we don't judge. Honestly, actually, like when I hear these things, it's like like the most unfiltered discussions that they have. Sometimes in my head, I would be thinking, we listen, we judge, we prosecute. Because ain't no way you're saying all these things. But at the same time, that's what this we're all here for, is no judgment. We're here to listen. We're not here to judge. Because there's plenty of other people in the same place as we are. That's maybe going through the same situations, you know?
100%. Now, looking forward and like how we're kind of gonna set up Unfiltered Faith in the conversation we're gonna have discussions on theology. We'll have discussions on service within the Ethiopian church. We'll have servants. We'll have deacons. We'll have Mezmurans come in and like speak just truthfully. I'm so excited because there's gonna be many talks that we keep in private that we don't really release in the public because we're shy or we're afraid. But I feel like we're in the age of like everything is out there on the internet nowadays. It's like, but we need to be able to address them and have those conversations be the sense of truth. Like this can be the sense of truth where people understand it from the actual church way and the unfiltered way. And what a better time than now. Because I wish when I was, how old am I? I'm 21. Yeah, I'm really young.
That's crazy.
I'm 21. I wish when I was 15 there was like an outlet where people are having conversations like this or things that I was struggling in that I can just tune in, right? Within like the context of orthodoxy. Like we usually go to others. Maybe that's like a mental health professional or listening to motivational videos to help us out of our struggles instead of understanding it from the source of truth, orthodoxy, right? And I really hope that like going forward, this podcast will allow us to understand it from the truth, which is orthodoxy. Robo, I'm gonna pick on you again. You've been the CEO of OTYD for a big minute. When OTYD was kind of shifting. There was a lot of things that were being discussed, and you were having a lot of conversations within servants and like which path you were gonna take, like what is working, what is not working, right? Having unfiltered faith now, did those conversations ever come up? Like, we want this to happen, but it didn't happen. Like, cause I know you, Robel. Like, you love these type of conversations, and you love having these genuine conversations because we've had them together. Did these conversations ever come up? But then you were kind of like afraid to be like, I don't know if we should do it now, because the main thing that stops us nowadays is like, we don't know what is right or what is wrong. Like, we want to do this because we know this is what the youth need and this is what people need, but we're afraid of like pushing the boundaries of like this conversation here, also like being unfiltered, and we're not at a church, we're not wearing a net. Like, this is like pushing a little bit of the boundary.
Sure.
How did you handle those moments of like pushing the boundary of trying to help the youth? Like, how did those discussions come about?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because I think anytime someone kind of gets out of the norm of what's been what's ever been kind of seen and already been done, there's gonna be people that are gonna raise their eyebrows and raise questions and be like, what's going on over there. I mean, I can even recall like back in the day whenever we first started OTYD. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody was welcome to it. You know what I mean? Not everybody was happy and joyous that we're starting this, Bible study where we're trying to bring the youth back into the church. There was a lot of eyebrows. There was a lot of like questions and a lot of like, what's going on over there? Like, there's there a hidden agenda behind it? What's going on here? Because again, when you're trying to reach a different generation, there's certain things that you have to adapt to this current generation. You get what I'm saying? Like, in the old days, like whenever there's the only way that we knew back in the day in Ethiopia is like Guway Allah Arab or something, and you would sit, you would learn, you would listen to a sermon, you'll sing Mezmur, and then you would go home, and then that's it. And if you had questions, well, hopefully your parents knew what that answer is.
Yeah.
Waim demo, just just have faith. You know what I mean? Don't ask questions. That was the kind of like the taboo things back in the day, right? But now we're in a generation where like everybody's asking questions, like as they should. You know what I mean? People should be open to have conversations and ask questions about, hey, I don't understand this about Orthodoxy, or, this thing about sacraments, or this thing about veneration of icons, or this thing about dating, or this thing about whatever it is, like contraceptives. Like, I don't understand that within you see, when I said contraceptives, I heard a in the background. So it's like anything in general, when we talk about Orthodoxy, it's like in the line of like, this like, weird topics or whatever conversations, people will always, be like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, why are we having these conversations? Or, didn't know, I'm not good. No, I think having, again, like an outlet or a space, a free space where we can just generally have a conversation is important. And even in OTYD, there was, moments when we wanted to have, a conference specifically, directed to a specific topic, a very like taboo topic.
Yeah.
Not good. We were like, we're scared because of like the backlash. Like, this has never been done. At the same time, we don't know how the audience is going to take it. Yeah. And I remember how, for instance, one of the, like, I will always remember this, one of the Bible studies that we had, it was during the 10 Commandments series that we were doing. And now, like, obviously, like, everybody's familiar with the 10 Commandments. I don't know if you remember, Sami, when we were doing it, like, we had a good amount of people that came for, the first commandment, second commandment, third commandment, but whenever we came to the commandment of adultery, oh, man, it was packed. I want to know, it got packed. I mean, for us at that time, like, to get 15 people to come to Bible study was a big thing.
Was it 10 Commandments or was it like Battle of Feelings?
It was the 10 Commandments. It was the 10 Commandments. And it was just, when I tell you the amount of people that came for that topic of adultery, when we were hitting the commandment of like, do not commit adultery, like, it was packed. And it made me think at that moment, I'm like, my God, like, imagine, like, for how many years people have been having this, like, oh my goodness, this understanding, or like, they have questions about this, or they're struggling with something, but they don't have a space where they can just have a conversation. And I remember we were there for hours. We were there for hours conversing, and we had a Q&A session. And I mean, when that Q&A session was like very like unfiltered, I'll just tell you, very, very much unfiltered. Like, we had to divide the guys and the girls because, we're both experiencing things in a different way, in a different light. So that just showed me at that moment, even back then, a couple years ago, how much the youth are yearning to just have a conversation, to just have a space where they can, hey, I'm struggling with this, or, hey, I'm having thoughts or doubts about my faith, or I'm having, questions about things that we do in the church that I really don't understand. And hey, like, can you help me out? Or do you relate? Or what's the church's perspective on this thing? And instead of like, the church as who she is, as a mother, she doesn't turn them away, but she's rather, okay, now let's talk about this. You know what I mean? So I love that we're being able to do that now. And, other organizations, other, podcasts are out there where they're doing the same thing and striving the same thing. And I'm so glad that, we in this generation where we're able to do that. So yeah, I'm all for it, bro.
Definitely. I think we've seen so much growth. Like 10 years ago, there were not have been even any English service. Like there will be nothing in English. Everything is just amarinya. But now it's like we have grown into English sermons, and then English liturgy, and then we have Mr. Famous right here. We have English hymns that are coming out, right? We have English hymns that are coming out. So we have like grown so much, and that aspect of being able to adapt. Like we have to be able to understand the generation that we're in and adapt to it without actually kind of going out of our dogma or what we believe in, but rather just pushing the boundaries to kind of understand how can the youth benefit from this. And I really do think that like having these conversations that are unfiltered, it's definitely going to help the youth. I yearn when I was a teenager, like I yearn for an outlet where people are having these type of conversations that are unfiltered about like orthodoxy, about those hard topics that are nobody wants to talk about. Why do we venerate the saints, or about our sacraments? Like I yearn for those conversations, but it wasn't there. But like now I'm so glad that to be able a part of this conversation and have this outlet to speak about all these topics. As we kind of end off our welcome back video, I really want to ask each of you guys, like, what is one thing you feel like the audience is going to take away from this Unfiltered Faith podcast that you really, really want to push forward? What is one thing that you feel like that they will benefit from by listening to our podcast?
Yeah, brother, come on.
I don't know what you.
One thing, okay. I think one thing that they will benefit from is, I think, just being able to listen to people that are in their same situation, come from the same cultural background, and understanding of the faith and everything, and be able to just resonate with that. I think we take it lightly when, we have certain platforms like OTYD or any other organization where you have an opportunity like once a week or so where you come together, you meet literally like-minded people. And this is an opportunity where, let's say you're not able to go to church on Sunday, or let's say you're out of town or something and you can't go to a Bible study on Friday. Like, go to YouTube, go to Spotify, go to iTunes podcast, search up Unfiltered Podcast OTYD, and it will feel like you're literally with us. And one thing I want to say is, this is not designed to be a monologue. This is not SNL. You know what I mean? Like, this is like we're creating this platform where you guys' opinion matters. So I want everyone to be able to just share opinions, have questions in the comment sections. I want to see people, going wild, not that kind of wild, but being able to give us feedback. You know what I mean? I have questions about this.
I think this the voice recorder that we have has a little attachment for phone recording. We're gonna have them like the radio calling in with questions.
Yo, that'd be crazy, man. We can do that. But yeah, that's I want to say is, this is the opportunity where you guys can definitely like be a part of this. It's not a monologue; it's a dialogue between us and a friend. Like, consider us to be your friends. We're just having a conversation, and you just happen to be there. And we love that you guys are here. We're welcoming you. And if you have any questions, just hit the comments. Make sure that you guys are following us so you can be able to be in tune for our next episodes.
Oh, love it.
Came back to me, huh?
Yeah.
I think one thing I think that's important that the viewers will take away from this is, it's really important to have these conversations in the context of the church, or like it's coming from like a spiritual organization, OTYD, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church. These controversial topics or questions, the reason why they're so controversial is because they're not talked about from like people who have authority, people who have more power in the church. We don't hear these conversations from them. or these questions are not answered officially. For example, really common controversy.
Controversy.
Controversy. However you say it. There was a very big one, and hopefully it's and it's not still a current one. Is eating fish during Tzom.
Ooh, that's a big one right there.
Huge controversy.
Wait, do y'all answer the question? Do y'all?
Nah.
Tawanta?
Like, it's a huge controversy because we see it in other like sister churches. Depending on which fast it is, they have different like food restrictions. Like I think in the Greek Orthodox Church, they can't even have oil. Forget the meat, dairy. They can't even have food with oil in it. Like there's different restrictions, or like in some fasts they can eat fish, in other fasts they can't. And then when it came to us, it was like, can we eat fish or not? So people just ate fish until finally we got an actual answer from the synod. From like our church fathers actually answered, no, you cannot eat fish during the fast. And I think that's why conversations like these are important, because they initiate the
dialogue.
They initiate the dialogue needed to push it up to those who have more authority. And yeah, we're just lowly servants, but starting this dialogue, initiating this dialogue, and hoping that others will take a heed to the struggles that our generations are going through, and having official answers for all of these questions without any fear of thinking, oh, the church is going to be under attack if we say this, or if we say this. There should be no fear in speaking the true word of God. There should be absolutely no fear. If you're speaking the full truth, then God has your back. That's it. There should be absolutely no fear. You shouldn't be worried about what's going to happen to you. You shouldn't be worried about what's going to happen to the group. You shouldn't be worried about what's going to happen to the church, because at the end of the day, we stand on God's word, nobody else's word. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter how much you water it down, if you water it down or anything. We shouldn't be watering down the word of God. We should be giving the raw, unfiltered truth as we are here, as we are doing here. So what I really hope is we start these dialogues here, and hopefully it just continues to grow, becomes less of a taboo or a controversy, and becomes more of a normalized conversation. So that people who are thinking these in their head, having these thoughts in their head, having these conversations in private, eventually they won't be afraid to have these thoughts anymore. It won't be a taboo to have these conversations anymore. It won't be a taboo for a church father to answer these questions for you. Because that's the thing, we need clarity in the word of God. We need to be straightforward and upfront. And that's the most important thing.
Ooh, you don't understand how excited I am about this new chapter that we have coming up with Unfiltered Faith, presented by OTYD. Like you heard it here. Like, we're going to have those conversations that are kept in private, but it's going to become public now, which I'm really excited about. But it's a dialogue. It's not just us here having conversations, but we want you to be within the conversation as well as two people. So we want you to comment. We want you to engage and ask questions if there's questions. We want you to feel like you're in this room having that discussion with us. We don't want you to feel like an outsider. We want you to be included within the family that we are trying to create in this safe space that we are having these conversations. So you don't understand how excited I am. Like, I know we have so many exciting things coming up that we're going to discuss and just have conversations. At the end of the day, it's the company that we keep around us. So having those great conversations about faith and how we can grow within our faith with like-minded individuals is all it's about. So I'm really excited, and we gonna catch you when we catch you.
Have these conversations, seek discomfort.
Seek discomfort, you know it. Lord.